And welcome back to part two of how to do whiteboard animation using Adobe Flash or Adobe Animate step by step. So step one, we created our little face here and he draws on, he animates. Awesome. So what we're going to be learning in this step is more of how do we animate this guy after he's drawn on. Basic animation. We're not going to go crazy. You can go crazy, but this tutorial isn't for that. Basic animations, little hand waves, eye blinks, smiles, little motions, motion graphic motions that you can add to enhance your whiteboard animation. So first of all, let me show you a little regular animation I did using Flash. I did it about 6 months ago, and it's about 35 seconds long. But yeah, just sit back and enjoy and just see some of the capabilities that Flash has. So in this, you're going to see motion graphics and a little bit of character animation, but very, very basic stuff. So to do a full screen preview, I'm going to press Command or Control Enter, and we'll enjoy this animation. Hopefully, you'll like it. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. So let me just get rid of these audio layers so I can scrub through this without hearing it. All right. So I guess we'll get the sound effects still. So I just want to show you guys when I do animations for Whiteboard. A lot of it comes down to just these puppet things, setting it up like a puppet. So this little dude that I created, let's see if I can click into him. So he's a symbol, right? And basically, every single part of him is broken up into a separate symbol. So I guess not every part, but the basic one that I like to use, let's use our hand symbol, is the head as a separate symbol, the torso separate, and you could have kind of a waist. Let's see here, what did I have here? I have a waist that's kind of separate, and then two legs, right? His feet. I think I believe this guy's barefoot. Yep. And then his shoulders, a separate piece. Uh, his arm, hand. Okay, so basically they're little puppets, so that when there's animation, I don't have to go in and hand draw each frame of these objects. Basically, they'll just kind of pivot. They'll pivot on their anchor point, and for the most part, I can get them to stretch and bend. Um, there is though some more advanced. Now, what this is called now is tweening. Tweening is where the program, for example, this hand. Let's see here. This hand, the beginning position is here, and the end position is down there, and then the program Flash, it it fills in the in-betweening portions of those beginning and ending states. So that's called tweening. Um, so there's more advanced tweening, but let me just show you these basic motions that you can do in Flash, and I think you will be very very happy with what you can accomplish. So, all right, so our dude draws on. Now let's double click inside of our symbol. Double click inside of him so we can edit him. Edit him. All right, so draws on. Now right here is where we get back to all the parts that are in their symbol still. Now I think one of the funnest basic things you can do is add an eye blink to your characters. Once they draw in, their eyes blink, okay, and they come to life at least a little bit. I think that's a nice touch, and honestly, that touch alone can go a long way. So this is how we do it. Since our eye is a symbol, what we're going to do is we're going to double click and go inside the eye. All right, so now we have a new timeline. And let's say this eye blink is going to last, let's do 1 second to start with. So we'll go click and drag to about 24, hit F5 to expand the frames inside that keyframe. Let's go back here. All right, I pressed Shift F5 to reduce it 1. All right, so eyes there. Now what I wanted to do is midway through, I want the eye to shut, and then we'll have the eye be open again. So let's say at about frame 10, I'll set a new keyframe by pressing F6. I'll let it go for, let's see here, 3 frames. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then in frame 13, I'll set a new keyframe, and then we'll just have it be back up again. So open, and then I'll have it close, and I'll have it open again. And yeah, this will create what's called a cycle, right? So it'll go to the end, and it'll cycle back. And once we finish this, you'll see that it'll just keep on cycling through this eye blink. All right, so we'll go down here, and let me show you a basic technique to get your eyes to blink. There's a lot of ways to animate eyes blinking. This is probably one of the most basic ways. All right, so we're in here, we're in that keyframe in the middle. So select your oval, hit Q for your free transform, or hit the free transform tool. And we're going to squash this eye down, and then we're going to squash it to the left and to the right just a little bit. Okay, so it's supposed to have the illusion, the effect of it's blinking. So we'll see if it is successful or not. Let's press enter. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I think it should pause a little bit more on the blink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click inside that area. I'm going to hit F5 twice, and let's see what it goes now. What it looks like now. Press enter. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Now let's go to our guy face area. So we can double click outside of here or click right here, guy face. Now let's play it from the beginning. Let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, look at that. So both eyes are going to animate the same because they're the same symbol and they start at the same spot. So yeah, blink, blink. Okay, now let me just show you something. Let me extend the time to this face a little bit further. So I'm going to click in this last keyframe and drag to get a larger range. I'm going to hit F5 to extend that time. I'm going to hit it a couple times. Now let me just hit enter again, and let's preview it. Blink, blink, blink. Now let's say I don't want that to repeat so frequently. Maybe it's just he's blinking too frequently for me. So what I can do is I can go inside the eye blink, the eye symbol, and I can extend the time at the end here so that he blinks, and then there's a little bit more time of a pause after he blinks, before he blinks again, before it cycles back. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot better. I feel like it feels a little bit more natural, and yeah, already he's coming to life. Isn't this exciting? Okay, so now let me show you what we did is this is what type of animation we did right here with the eye blink. Let's see if I can even get inside of there. Double click. Come on. I don't know why it's not letting me double click. It's my computer, I believe. All right. So this is more of a hand. We're doing this by hand, right? This isn't the the computer's not helping us that much here. It's kind of we are creating this. It's almost hand drawn, even though we just use the mouse, you know. But what I want to show you next is just like in this called Crabs versus Puppies. This computer giving us the in-betweens. So, for example, his head. Let's see if I can find his head layer. So they put a beginning position, a beginning keyframe, and then there's an ending keyframe, and then all the stuff in between. The computer Flash or Adobe Animate, it figures out how to do those in between spots. So let's figure out how to do that with this guy's head. Let's have him do a little nod or something. So what we need to do is we need to get so you can only do those type of tweens or animations when when one symbol is on one layer. So for example, right now on this layer 2, on the end layer, or sorry, on the end frame here, we have all of these symbols on one layer. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 symbols. So if we were to try to do a tween, it wouldn't work. It all needs to be one symbol. So what we can do is we can select all of it by clicking on the keyframe and then hitting F8 or right-clicking and saying convert to symbol. Okay, so we can do that. Or we can go outside of it into the main timeline, and since it's already just one symbol, we can do it from there. Okay. Now I'm trying to think what is simpler to show you guys. I think let's just do it on this outside layer so you get a taste of it, so it won't be too complicated, right? So let's have him bob his head. Well, no, first let's just have his head move, okay? Let's just do that for once. So this is how we do it. It's exciting. So it draws on, and let me extend the time. Let's give ourselves more time here. So I'm going to select a range and hit F5 a few times. That'll just give us some more room in our timeline. So he animates, he blinks, and then let's say we want the head to travel to the right. So first I need to set a new keyframe. So press F6. So I want the beginning position, I want him to start moving starting at that point. I don't want him to move at all until he draws on and blinks. So then that'll be our start position for when he moves. And then I'm going to go to, let's say, 80 and set a new keyframe. Now that we've set a new keyframe in the future, now we're going to move our head, our guy's head. Let's move him over here, or maybe down here. Okay, so let's just hit play. Draws on, blinks, and then it moves. Okay, so now we want the computer to fill in all of these gaps in between so that we don't have to do that by hand. So this is how you do it. It's super simple. You click on any one of the frames in between those two keyframes on that layer, and you right click and you say I want to create a classic tween. Classic. Okay, there's other types of tweens here, right? And I can get into those, but let's just do classic tween to begin with. Classic. All right, so I made it a little purple, and look what it did. Let's hit play. Draws on, blinks. Oh, yeah. Okay, awesome. So he moves. Isn't that amazing? Yes. All right, now let me show you one other technique. Now this will go a long ways, right? Let me show you one other technique if you want your guy to, your head to kind of disappear. Let me show you one fun technique. So he'll go down, he'll blink, and then I want him to kind of pop off and disappear. This is just one technique that I'll show you. There's hundreds, right? But F6 for starting. Go 2 frames in the future. Press F6 again. Now press Q or select the free transform tool and hold down Shift so that you maintain the aspect ratio. And then go forward 2 frames and then press F6. Now we're going to shrink his head about right there, and then go forward 1 frame again, press F6. Actually, now let's press F7. I didn't teach you F7, but it is entering a blank keyframe. Okay, so F6, it adds a frame to a keyframe. Sorry, F5, F5 adds a frame to a keyframe, making it longer. F6 adds a new keyframe, and F7 creates a blank keyframe. So F7, now it's gone. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Draws on, smiles, blinks, goes down, boop, then disappears. Isn't that fun? Now, oh man, I'll have an entirely new training on all the animation techniques you can do, but those few alone you can do so much with. Now, yeah, I'm not. Let me show you. Let me show you a different kind of tween now. With that, you can be busy for a long time. Okay, so he disappears. Let me show you another animation technique with text. Okay, so text is going to be a huge part of whiteboard animation. So let's have, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, so the layer above, let's do our text up there. So I've set a new keyframe right here, and let's get the text tool, and let's just click somewhere, and let's write something. Let's say, this is a head. Now actually in whiteboard style, a lot of it is all caps. You get to choose, right, what it looks like. So this is a head. I'm going to click my selection tool, and you can just reposition this. Under the properties window, you can change the size of the font. You can change the paragraph alignment and have it align left. This is a head. Okay. Now, let me show you how to do text, right? So, oh, and the font that I'm using, let's see, what is this one? So this is Arial Rounded, MT Bold. Actually, one that looks good for a whiteboard style is Comic Sans. And I will actually show you in the next step, I will show you how to create your own custom hand-drawn font. If there's a font that you can draw yourself that you prefer, I will show you how to do that and upload it digitally so that you can use it within Adobe Animate. All right, so I'm going to bold this, and let's make the font a little bit smaller. This is a head. Okay, now let's apply the whiteboard. Drawing on technique to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this text a symbol. So press F8 if you have that set up. I'm going to name this head text. Make sure it's a graphic. Hit OK. Okay, now I'm going to double click it to go inside of it. All right, now let's extend the time in that keyframe. Press F5. Doesn't matter how long for now. Okay, now, so we need to do from the end from the beginning, right? So we're going to start erasing the D and go this way, right to left, so that when we reverse it, it'll draw on left to right. All right, so let's start erasing. Wait a second, it's not erasing. What's going on? All right, a couple things we need to do first. Text by default is not broken apart. Even when it's not a symbol, it's still kind of in that it's editable text, right? Well, once we have the text the way we want it, we need to break it apart so that we can erase it. Okay, so to break it apart, right click, hit break apart, and that broke it apart one step, but I can still go into the individual letters and edit them. So we need to break it apart one more time so that it's just a pure uh, paint or shape, right? So I'm going to hit my shortcut Control B and break it apart one more time. Now I can erase it in a little erase. All right, so the first frame, remember we want to keep it the same, right? We want to keep it complete. So we're going to hit F6 and so that it creates a keyframe in the second frame. Now we can start erasing. Now with text, this is my general rule. Each frame I can erase one letter. Okay? Um, Now if the text is really big, I will do a 2 or 3 frames per letter being drawn on. So for example, let me show you. Um, the D, if this were huge, then I would erase a little bit of it, press F6, erase a little bit more, and then press F6, and then erase the rest. Okay, so then if it played, you could see more of all 3, and that wasn't, let me redo that. If I were to do that for real, okay, F6, I would want to try to maintain that downward stroke so that it appears that it's being drawn on, right? So maybe that one, and then new keyframe, erase a little bit more. Use a Wacom. Don't use your trackpad like I'm trying to do. And then 3. Okay, so that when it goes back, there's a down, over, and then down. Okay, so if the text is big, I'll do that many steps. But for the most part, text can just be one. The whole letter can be erased per frame. So I'll press F6. Now there's a cool tool that lets you erase an entire piece of paint in one stroke. It's next to with the eraser tool selected, it's this faucet tool. What the faucet tool does, just one click and it erases the entire shapes that it's connected with. And that's the tool we'll use when doing text. Okay, so F6 erased, F6 erase. Sometimes my computer's just going a little slow. F6 erase. I actually work both in Mac and PC, so I like both, but I do like Mac. Anyway, all right, so now if we scrub backwards, oh yeah, it draws on. Nice. So remember to reverse it, what we'll do is we'll set another blank keyframe by pressing F6 or F7, and then we'll select the second to last one and the rest, and we'll go to Modify, Timeline, Reverse Frames. Okay, press Enter. It draws on. Oh, disappears. So what we need to do is select that last keyframe, press Shift F6 so that it clears that blank one, and then it draws on. This is a head. Awesome. Okay, now let's go back to our scene 1. Zoom out a little bit here, and look at our animation here. Draws on, blinks. Oh yeah, disappears. And see, it keeps on cycling through, right? Because this time is less than the main time. We'll just keep on going here. All right. So other animation techniques. So let me clear this. Let me clear this dude disappearing. So I'm going to select this range, and I'm going to hit Shift F6 to clear those keyframes. And what's nice about this is I can reposition this text, right? And I can have it draw on in different parts. That's the nice thing about Flash. Everything is so editable. That's the nice thing about symbols. Okay, maybe I'll make that a little bit, oops, a little bit smaller so that it doesn't, so that the head doesn't overlap it. All right, blinks. This is a head, and he stops. Awesome. Okay, so now perhaps what I want to do, let me change the end position to this head too so that he's not going off. And let me just have it go down to here. Now, this is more advanced, right? So what I want to do is basically just like my kind of puppet guy here, the head, it pivots at his neck, right? And his shoulders pivot up here towards the top of his chest. And so what we want to do is we want to change where the head pivots from. So if I were to select this head right now and hit Q or the free transform tool, and if I hover above any of the corners, I get this rotation arrow. And if I click, I can rotate this guy. Now if you notice, there's a white dot in the middle, and that's the anchor point that it rotates from, right? So I could have this guy spin around like this, but what I want, and what you guys will probably want with your characters, is you want this to be near his neck, to be more, like a real cartoon. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a new keyframe right here, and we're going to change this anchor. Okay, so how to do that is, let's see if I can change it from, I need to have the free transform tool selected, and just click on it, and it'll give you that white circle in the middle. So just click on that white circle, and you can move that anywhere you want. Okay, you can move it up here, you can move it anywhere, but I'm going to move it down here where his neck should be. Okay, so he moves down. Okay, now he's there. Now let's have his head rotate left and right. So I'm gonna go into the future. I'm going to set a keyframe, and then I'm going to, with my Q or free transform tool, I'm going to rotate him to the left. Yes. Left, and then I'm going to go into the future, and I'm going to have him rotate to the right. Okay? So without adding the tweens, that's what it looks like. And honestly, sometimes it looks fine not having a tween in there. So let's have him go left, right, and then let's have him go back to his original position. So what you can actually do is you can select this keyframe, hit just by clicking on it once, and hit Command or Control Copy, and then going back over here and then hitting Control V. Oh, actually, you don't just hit Command V. To paste it in the exact same spot as it was here, you have to hold down Shift. So you have to do, let's delete that one, and let's do Shift Control V, and it'll paste it in the exact place that it was over here. Okay? That's very useful. So if I were to click just on those two, they're exact same position. Okay, so he starts out, goes left, goes right, and then goes back up. Okay, now let's add our classic tweens in between there. Okay, so click anywhere in there, in between the keyframes, right click, create classic tween. Now again, I would create keyboard shortcuts for the classic tween. A little quicker. But now let's see what he does. Ooh, nice. Now let's say I want to, let's say I think that that rotation is happening too quick. I can inside of here click, and I can add frames to the keyframe by pressing F5, or I can even select a range and hit F5. If I want to just make it a little slower. Nice. Okay, so those are the basics of animating, right? And I think that will bring you a long way. Now there are at more advanced techniques, right? Of oh, what is it called? Easing. But let me get to those advanced techniques into the third module. I'll give you a few advanced techniques of animation, and then also of how to do coloring with text, and also adding audio, adding an audio to your Flash file and having it sync up with the audio, and also adding a hand. I showed you that how do you draw the let's see. Nope. Here it is. Sorry about that. This hand-drawn style. Hit play here. Okay, so having a hand that moves and draws. It's not just a static image that's drawing these on, it's a hand that's moving. So I'm going to show you those techniques in the advanced portion. Also, see how these objects kind of disappear. There's some more advanced techniques of showing you how things can disappear and reappear on. So I look forward to seeing you in step 3. It'll be great. Thank you so much. See ya.